Let me tell you the only things that you need to do for the most consistent profitability. Learn to understand price movement.
Before we get rolling here, just a reminder to please like and share our videos. Your support helps us to continue to bring you the wonderful content that we share with you each and every week.
This is so critical. I think a lot of us, we have this like mindset when we come into trading. And I say this because I did, and I see it a lot in a lot of the clients, is they come in and they want to learn to understand price movement. As a matter of fact, that's where they usually start, right? With like directional trading or something, and it doesn't go well. And by that I mean the person thinks it doesn't go well because they come into the market and or they come into trading and they have this expectation that it's going to be easy. They have this expectation that they're going to win all the time, right? So all the things are here, right? I think it's going to be easy. I think there's going to be an indicator or a trade rule that's going to, where I'm going to win all the time. And they try to live trade it, which is good, right? Because we don't want to avoid live trading, but they try to live trade it, doesn't go well. So they switch strategies. This is typical, right? That is not going to really get you anywhere, right? So anyway, they start with good intentions of understanding price movement, but because it doesn't work all the time, they decide that, well, price movement is not understandable, right? So they make this decision in their mind that it's not understandable. And then, of course, once you make a decision, if you know NLP or anything like that, you look for evidence to support that decision. And then you find more evidence to support that decision, and then you completely convince yourself that I don't understand price movement. It's the market is random. Price movement never makes any sense. And then you go on and you go into the next thing. So if that is true, right? So let's build this. If that is true, then I can go with the positive theta trading because that doesn't rely on price movement, but in reality, it actually does, right? But you kind of blind yourself from that. And if you don't believe positive theta trading relies on price movement, just think about your experience. It does rely on price movement. It relies on price movement not doing certain things at certain times or doing things at certain times, right? But more and more not doing things, right? So instead of relying on price doing things in order to win, you're relying on price not doing certain things in order to win. So it's the same thing, it's just in reverse. So even if I'm trading that way, even if I'm trading market neutral, if my strategy relies on the price movement or what's even more complex is implied volatility, but if my strategy is relying on price movement not doing certain things, I should still understand price movement, right? And then if my strategy relies on implied volatility, then I should understand implied volatility, but I really can't understand what implied volatility is likely to do unless I understand price movement. Because if I get a really big price movement, implied volatility is going to do something. If I don't get really big price movement, implied volatility is going to do something else. So it's important, right? It's important either way, no matter how you look at it. It's just how you use that understanding. And realistically, how you use that understanding doesn't really matter so long as you use it appropriately. You can use the understanding for market neutral. You can use the understanding for entries and exit and adjustments decisions. You can use the in market neutral strategies, right? So I think one of the biggest misconceptions that maybe come with this market neutral strategy is that you don't need to understand price movement, and that's completely not true. Right? Matter of fact, I would argue that you want to understand price movement more with market neutral than you do with directional. And the reason for that is because of risk reward structures, right? So number two in the magic formula is learn how to maintain and apply appropriate risk reward structures. With directional trading, I can have some really good risk reward structure, right? In other words, I can make a lot of money with a very small amount of risk. And I can easily crank that risk out of the position, especially nowadays. Like when I was first started with options, we had monthly expiration cycles. We had only 25-point strikes on the SPX. Think about that, 25-point strikes. We had Russell, I think they had a lot of 50-point wide strikes. Today we have zero DTE. We have strikes like at every $5 in SPX, right? There's a very, very big difference there. And we have stuff that expires every day rather than only on the month. We have stuff that expires at the end of the day rather than only on the monthly cycle, which we had to take the overnight risk to expire the options. It's just a completely different environment. We have so many more advantages now than we've ever had. I mean, I couldn't do zero DTE trading with options because the only zero DTE you had was the monthly cycle. And I used to play those too, by the way. But then they didn't even expire at the end of the day. You had this risk of overnight. So, and I used to play the overnight also, that overnight gap or that might happen. But that's all that we had. Now, we can set in five. Oh, yeah. And then in addition to that, imagine having 25-point strikes in the SPX and then having the SPX not at like 6,000, but having it at 2,000 or 3,000 and having your average daily move at like 15 or 20 points and then trying to make money off of that. So if you're with us in the pro membership where we're doing 5-point strikes, verticals, zero DTE, and the market ATR is like 100 on the SPX, think of that context and how easy it is to make money with those versus like 2006 when I had 50-point wide strikes or 25-point wide strikes, I think, on the SPX. And ATR is only like 20 points, 25 points, right? It's a whole lot harder to do that, right? And I didn't have the expiration cycle. So it's so much easier to make money nowadays with this. And I think that we should think about that.